Andrew Donaldson from OrdinaryTimes.com joined us to unpack how Trump pulled off the win.
The underlying data of this election is actually very, very simple. Kamala Harris underperformed Joe Biden in 2020. There was a great graphic on the television coverage where she did not increase a single Biden county anywhere in America as of now, even though they're still counting. And that's the story of this election. Donald Trump, we've talked about having a base that's very dedicated, but also having a bit of a ceiling, has improved in all three of his elections. He improved on his 2016 and 2020, even though he lost to Joe Biden, and now he's improved again. And what Kamala Harris did not do that Joe Biden did in 2020 was improve on those rural voters. Now, Joe Biden didn't win a lot of the rural districts, but he ate into some of the Trump leads and just a little bit here and a little bit there. And that offset the urban areas where Democrats tend to do it. Kamala Harris could not replicate that in places like Georgia, places like Pennsylvania. We're still waiting on places like Michigan. We'll see how those go, but it wasn't enough. So Donald J. Trump is now going to be president again, and it's with his base and with enough independent voters and others. The other thing inside of this election data that's going to change a lot of things for a lot of people is Hispanics have now become one of the dominant voting groups, but it's also a diverse voting group. There's a definitive working class vote, there's a definitive educational class. They're going to have to start treating the Hispanic demographic as the diverse, growing demographic that it is, because a lot of the things that affect white voters and any other demographic you want to be, when it splits because of education and economic status and things like that, that's occurring in the Hispanic vote, and Trump is making great inroads, at least in this election, for that. And that's something that's going to have to be dealt with going forward. So the lessons of this is that even though the Electoral College is going to look a lot like 2016 when Trump won, and he's won in 2024, there's a lot of the demographics underpinning it that are very, very different inside of that same map. And people better learn those lessons as we go into the 2026 midterm and the 2020 presidential election, because again, Donald Trump is now automatically a lame duck, and we're going to have yet another one-term president. You're going to have to reset the narratives, because the narrative was, well, he never won the popular vote. Now he's done that. He only won one election. Well, now he's won two. So this is no longer can be said it's a fluke. It can no longer be said that it's just an aberration of the electorate. Donald Trump has won twice, and he's won two different ways, even though that, again, that electoral map looks pretty similar. The demographics have changed. So he's won twice, and he's done it two different ways. That's not an aberration. That's a pattern. And if you're going to honestly analyze these elections, you got to admit that Donald Trump has done this twice now, and that's going to have ramifications going forward. There's no debate now that the Republican Party is going to be the party of Trump after Trump leaves the scene. Again, he's term limited now, and people are just going to have to reckon with that data.